Before the rise of Islam, three goddesses, Uzza, Laat, and Manat, dominated the spiritual landscape of ancient Arabia. These deities commanded devotion, inspired grand temples, and shaped the religious practices of their time. Yet their influence and names were nearly erased from history with the advent of a new monotheistic faith. What secrets did these goddesses hold? How did their temples fall? And why did their names vanish? Join us as we uncover the intriguing origins, worship practices, and dramatic downfall of Uzza, Laat, and Manat, and explore how their myths are being rediscovered today. The origins of Uzza, Laat, and Manat are rooted deeply in the ancient Arabian religious landscape, predating the advent of Islam. These goddesses were part of the complex and diverse pantheon worshipped by the various tribes of the Arabian Peninsula. Uzza, often identified with the morning star, Venus. Uzza was a goddess of might and protection. Her name, which means the mighty one, reflects her perceived power and influence. She was particularly venerated by the Quraysh tribe in Mecca and held in high regard as a symbol of strength and protection. Uzza was associated with war and was invoked for victory and defense. Her worshippers believed she wielded control over natural and supernatural forces, granting her devotees both earthly and divine favor. Laat, known as the goddess of fertility and prosperity. Laat's name is derived from the Arabic root meaning to mix or to blend, symbolizing her role in agriculture and growth. Her sanctuary was located in Taif, a city renowned for its lush gardens and fertile lands. Laat was revered as the nurturer of life, overseeing the cycles of planting and harvest. She was depicted as a nurturing mother figure, providing abundance and sustenance to her followers. The goddess's influence extended beyond agriculture, embodying the interconnectedness of life and the cyclical nature of existence. Manat, the oldest of the three, Manat was the goddess of fate and destiny. Her name is linked to the concept of portioning out, reflecting her role in determining the lifespan and fortunes of individuals. Manat's sanctuary was situated between Mecca and Medina in Qudayd. She was often invoked during critical life events such as births, marriages, and deaths, guiding the fates of her followers. Manat was also believed to hold sway over the afterlife, with worshippers seeking her favor to ensure a favorable destiny both in this world and beyond. In addition to their particular significance, these goddesses in pre-Islamic Arabia collectively symbolized the divine feminine force. The worship of the ancient Arabs was ingrained in the social and religious fabric of the era, mirroring their perception of the divine and its expressions in their surroundings. The worship of Uzza, Laat, and Manat was characterized by elaborate rituals, offerings, and festivals, reflecting the deep reverence and devotion of their followers. Each goddess had specific rites and practices associated with her worship, highlighting her unique attributes and role within the pantheon. Worship of Uzza. Uzza's devotees engaged in rituals that emphasized her might and protective powers. Sacrificial offerings, including animals, were common, aimed at invoking her favor and securing her protection. The sanctuary of Uzza, located near Mecca, was a prominent pilgrimage site where worshippers sought her blessings. Festivals dedicated to Uzza involved processions, music, and dance, celebrating her strength and invoking her aid in times of conflict. Priests and priestesses played a crucial role in mediating between the goddess and her followers, performing rituals and divinations to convey her will. Worship of Laat's worship was intrinsically linked to the agricultural cycles, with rituals reflecting the seasonal rhythms of planting and harvest. Offerings of fruits, grains, and other agricultural produce were made to ensure bountiful harvests and prosperity. Her temple in Taif was a focal point for these activities, serving as a communal center where farmers and traders gathered to honor the goddess. Festivals in her honor included feasts, dances, and rites of renewal, symbolizing the fertility and abundance she bestowed upon the land. Priests dedicated to Laat conducted purification rituals, blessing the fields and invoking her presence in the natural world. Worship of Manat. Manat's worship was steeped in the mysteries of fate and destiny. Pilgrims traveled to her sanctuary in Qudayd to seek her guidance and favor, particularly during pivotal life moments. Rituals involved the casting of lots and divination practices, aimed at discerning the goddess's will and securing favorable outcomes. Offerings to Manat included precious goods such as spices and textiles, symbolizing the devotion of her followers. Ceremonies in her honor were often solemn and reflective, focusing on the acceptance of fate and the seeking of her blessings for a favorable destiny. Priests and seers interpreted the signs and omens, providing counsel to those who sought Manat's wisdom. The temples dedicated to these goddesses were not merely places of worship, but also served as social and economic hubs. They were centers of trade, cultural exchange, and communal gatherings, reinforcing the integral role of the goddesses in the daily lives of the ancient Arabs. The rise of Islam in the 7th century CE marked a significant turning point in the religious landscape of the Arabian Peninsula. As the new monotheistic faith began to spread, the existing polytheistic practices and the veneration of deities like Uzza, Laat, and Manat came under scrutiny and eventual opposition. The early followers of Islam, headed by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, placed a strong emphasis on the worship of a single, all-powerful God and worked to eradicate the pagan customs of the pre-Islamic era, or Jahiliyyah. The goal of this religious movement was to unite the Arabian tribes under a unified ideology and authority, which made it both political and theological. The destruction of the temples dedicated to Uzza, Laat, and Manat was part of this broader movement to establish monotheism. Historical accounts describe several key events that led to the dismantling of these sacred sites. One of the most detailed accounts involves the destruction of Uzza's sanctuary near Mecca. Khalid ibn al-Walid, a prominent companion of the Prophet Muhammad, was tasked with demolishing the temple. According to Islamic tradition, Khalid faced fierce resistance from the goddess's devotees and even reported supernatural encounters during the mission. Ultimately, the temple was destroyed, and its idols were smashed, symbolizing the triumph of monotheism over polytheism. Laat's temple in Taif met a similar fate. After the conquest of Taif, the Prophet Muhammad ordered the dismantling of Laat's sanctuary. The city's inhabitants initially resisted, but eventually the temple was demolished and the idols were removed. This act was seen as a pivotal moment in the consolidation of Islamic authority in the region. The destruction of Manat's temple in Qudayd followed the same pattern. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sent expeditions to eradicate the worship of Manat and other deities, reinforcing the Islamic doctrine of monotheism. Manat's idols were destroyed and her sanctuary was dismantled, marking the end of her veneration. These events were not merely acts of religious reform, but also symbolized the consolidation of political power and the unification of the Arabian tribes under the banner of Islam. The destruction of the temples was intended to eradicate the remnants of polytheism and establish a new religious and social order. The stories of Uzza, Laat, and Manat might have faded into obscurity, but they have been rediscovered and reinterpreted through modern archaeological discoveries and scholarly research. These efforts have provided new insights into the ancient Arabian religious practices and the significance of these goddesses in pre-Islamic society. Excavations in various parts of the Arabian Peninsula have uncovered artifacts, inscriptions, and remnants of temples that shed light on the worship of Uzza, Laat, and Manat. These findings have allowed scholars to piece together a more comprehensive picture of the religious landscape and the role of these goddesses. Inscriptions and carvings found at temple sites provide valuable information about the rituals, offerings, and societal roles associated with their worship. Historians